We're good.
Hi, we are from Hot Paper Lantern. The four of us are together today to talk about World Mental Health Day. So, who you have here today, a selection of folks from HR, that would be Sarah and Sarah, and Ted and Abby from our leadership team. And we came together today to talk to you about mental health and the importance of talking about and addressing mental health in the workplace and as part of your internal communications. So, I'm going to kick off by asking Ted to talk to us about what you've seen with our clients and what the role of mental health has been in the work that we've been doing with them.
Thanks, Sarah. Since the onset of the pandemic and the social unrest that we've seen in 2020, I think mental health has increasingly come up in discussions around communication strategy. And if you think about one of the core tenets of a sound communication strategy, it's really all about understanding the audience, putting yourself in their shoes, understanding their habits, their needs, their wants, their desires. The more you know about that audience that you're trying to reach and influence, the more effective you can be. And I think that has been turned upside down in 2020. And whether you're trying to reach and influence your employee or your customer, or any other stakeholder or audience for that matter, their needs have shifted, their concerns have shifted. Many are struggling with mental health issues as a result of all the chaos that has ensued in 2020. So, our theory around this is that communications professionals are not mental health experts. So we need to be partnering with the mental health community to better understand how what we say, when we say it, where we say it, impacts people who are suffering from mental health issues. Because otherwise, we will either be ineffective in the strategies that we put forth, or worse, we will make matters even worse for people who are struggling with mental health issues. So, my hope is that this topic and this issue continues to gain importance and attention within the communications field, and that we do reach out and partner with the mental health community on a more frequent basis.
And I think that's true for both. We're looking at like our clients partnering with chief medical officers and that role taking on a bigger place in the organization, as well as companies like ours. We partnered with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention to have a talk internally with our staff to raise these issues and really think about how the pandemic has influenced us individually and what we could do to support the people around us. So I totally agree.
Yeah, and to that end, maybe I can ask the next question to Sarah Sanzari. Sarah, can you talk a little bit about what HPL is doing as it relates to mental health and the mental health of our employees, especially this year as we have been enduring the reality that the pandemic has thrust upon us?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Ted. We have really been trying to set up check-ins with our staff. We were, at the height of the pandemic, doing them weekly, then bi-weekly, just taking temperature checks, seeing how people are feeling, seeing how we can support them. Most recently, we introduced almost a Swiss cheese model of working so that people have flexibility in their day. We have a lot of, working parents, and that can cause a lot of anxiety, making sure that your kids are in front of their Zoom, that they're doing what they need to do. And so we're giving people the flexibility to work hours that really fit their schedule, both personally and professionally. And we think that that's really helped to alleviate some of that anxiety. And just, we're always here, both, as the HR team and a leadership team, our doors are always open. And we hope that people can come and talk to us and feel comfortable, and we'll work with you to find some solutions that work best.
That's great. Appreciate it, Sarah.
Yeah.
A question that I have for Sarah Whitman is, how has mental health changed over the course of your career, the acceptance of it in the workplace, and how people talk about it in the workplace, but also how employers deal with it?
Yeah. It's such an important question, and I was reflecting on this a bit earlier, not just because of the longevity of my career, but because there's been a lot of change in the last 20 plus years about how society as a whole addresses mental health, and then also as organizations have. So I would say the first thing is that it's much more acceptable to talk about, right? there's the stigma around mental health that is so incredibly unfortunate. And I say that because every single one of us deals with something. We all struggle at different times, maybe not all of the time, maybe not as acutely as some people do, but every single person experiences mental health challenges where they need to really make sure that they're taking care of themselves. I oftentimes think about that, that advice that we were given of take care of your mental health the same way you would your physical health. And the same way that we would talk about that openly, we need to openly talk about mental health issues. So I've seen a big shift in that, but immensely so in the last 9 months. It's sort of something has become much more acceptable to talk about, but now it's imperative. Now organizations have to address it head on for the health and well-being of their employees, but also for the health and well-being of their organizations. And we can only thrive at work if we're thriving in our lives. So I think that that's a positive shift that I have every hope will continue in the future. Thank you for asking me that.
I have a question for Abby. Abby, as a business leader at the organization, how have you addressed mental health with those that report to you and your team?
Well, similar to what you noted before about doing the check-ins, we're also doing that on a manager to managee level as well. So I'm checking in and talking to everyone that reports to me directly at least once every other week. And yes, we talk about work things, but I also make sure to always save some time just to check in and see how they're doing and to ask what's going on. Most of the time, a lot of times we end up spending more time talking about how people are doing during the pandemic than we do specifically about work things, because I work so closely with the people that I manage on a day-to-day basis. I don't always need to use that time to check in on, to-dos and action items. I actually find a lot of value really connecting with the person one-on-one. And what we've done is really encourage people to be transparent. Like, tell us what you're feeling as long as you feel comfortable. Like, be honest with us. And I've had people on my teams come to me and just say, I'm really struggling today. I just really need to take a little bit of a break. And, when we know that, we can help. Like, we can jump in, we can rally the team. And what I've always experienced here is that everybody pitches in, because we all know, like Sarah mentioned, we all have these days. We all feel this way from time to time. And what I've really experienced is that my teams always come together and say, don't worry about it. Take a step back. I got this. I'll send this for you, whatever the case may be. So I think the transparency and the willingness as the team to jump in and help and realize that we're all experiencing this on one way or another is really important.
I wanted to close with a final question or thought from each of us about, as we're celebrating World Mental Health Day and the attention that the entire world will be paying attention to this issue, what's something that you'd like to leave everyone with? A recommendation for a resource, a hope for the future? Ted, we'll start with you.
I would just say, don't assume the person next to you that you're working with is okay, right? And don't assume what they're feeling. I think the most important thing for us to do is not just colleagues, but also human beings, is just to ask people how they're doing and give them the space to talk. So I too often, I know I'm guilty of assuming that someone's okay and sort of moving on. But we really need to stop and take time to check in with people and offer them the support that they need if they need it.
Thank you. Abby, what do you think?
Well, I'm a big fan of mindfulness and meditation, as you know, Sarah. So that would be a huge recommendation from me, is for people to start exploring that. There's so many wonderful apps and resources out there. And I have found such a great benefit from that, being able to really settle my mind, get some mental clarity. And it has helped me build resilience as well, I feel, to be able to keep a bigger picture about what's going on and not get caught up in my emotions or thoughts as much. And my hope for the future would be that we continue on the path of acknowledging mental health and treating it as the same as physical health. You know, if you see somebody with a broken arm, you know that they might be in pain. Mental health doesn't display itself that way, but it definitely affects people. And so thinking about mental health as just as important as one's physical health would be my hope for the future.
Thank you. Sarah.
I was going to say, be kind to yourself. I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to be able to do everything and to be okay. Just know that you're doing the best you can in a situation that none of us have dealt with before. And really don't be afraid or ashamed to reach out for professional help. I think having someone that you can talk to, a therapist, is really helpful and goes miles in a situation like this.
Thank you.
Sarah, what do you think?
I echo everything that you all said. I think that it's such great advice and so important. And I hope, and I think I know that businesses will continue to take this seriously and focus on it. It's an imperative, as I said before. And I just wanted to thank all of you for being willing to talk about this. It's so important. I'm so grateful to have you as my colleagues. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone watching this also will think about the importance of mental health in your organization, in your life, and really take care. Thank you.